Hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar, The Benefits of TomoView Software. The mission of this webinar, hosted by Olympus NDT, is to educate our customers and prospects of the new TomoView 2.9 version and TomoView Lite. Users of the OmniScan phased array flaw detector and the Focus LT will learn some of the new exciting features of the TomoView 2.9 version that can greatly benefit future inspections. Particular attention is put on the analysis of existing data files. The presentation should last about 30 minutes and ends with a question and answer session. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Michael Moles. Michael Moles is a Senior Technology Manager for Olympus NDT. He brings roughly 30 years of experience in automated ultrasonic technology. He has presented and published over 100 papers and is also the editor of 4 books. Michael sits as a committee member for ASME, AWS, and ASTM. Michael's education includes a PhD and MBA, and he maintains his Canadian Level 2 in Industrial Ultrasonics. Michael, it's your turn.
Thank you, Coleman. I'd also like to welcome all the attendees to this Olympus NDT presentation. Good morning or good afternoon. The emphasis will be more on TomoView Lite because that's the way the audience broke down. Let me now start off by giving you the contents. The first thing is what can TomoView Lite do? We have new established and modified functions, TomoView Manager, reporting, file merges, measurements and statistics, overlays, and layouts. And what can TomoView Lite mean to OmniScan users? First of all, what is TomoView Lite? It's a PC-based software for analysis of ultrasonic data collected with either OmniScan or Focus LT. As such, it can be run off an independent PC at any time or place. It's a perfect complement to OmniScan for the analysis of any ultrasonics or phased array data file. Perhaps the best way to look at it is the way the author wrote it. In the old days, OmniScan and TomoView were friends. Now they are married and live together. So it's a user-friendly interface with suitable display and readings and is usable for most applications. Aerospace, Weld, phased array, TOFT, general ultrasonics, composites, bar, plates, corrosion monitoring. So practically anything that most users are likely to want. You do. So what's new in TomoView 2.9 Lite? Well, quite a lot. We can easily and quickly change detection gate levels, positions, and thresholds. We can do multi-beam C-scan imaging. We have new view readings. We have a contextual menu to adjust view properties. We have an indication table which allows 2 different sets of readings. For example, we can put both phased array and TOFT in there. We have an inspection report, which now looks like that on the OmniScan, but has more capability and is more flexible. And we can also display this inspection report in your internet browser. It's an HTML format. So how does TomoView Lite work? Well, it runs on a separate computer or laptop under Windows XP. We have a TomoView key or dongle, which you plug in, so it's portable from computer to computer. This does not restrict you in the way that the early versions of TomoView did. We have a special icon on TomoView Lite that allows importing and converting OmniScan OPD files. And after downloading to TomoView, OmniScan files are effectively TomoView files, which gives you a great deal more flexibility. To be a little more specific on what TomoView Lite can do, we can merge multiple data files into a single file. We can display all merged data in a single view. It can display and record specific and generic layout templates, and in fact you can design your own. You can do color adjustment. Essentially this is a palette adjustment for soft gain and color range, and we'll deal with all these features in a minute. We can create, save, and import Weld overlays, and we can do measurements and statistics using cursors. We have a defect table which we can edit and create, and again we have the embedded report generator. What do we need? Well, there are some specific requirements. TomoView Lite 2.9 is compatible with Windows XP. You do require Service Pack 2, but that's not a big requirement. Windows Vista, either 32 bits or 64 bits, we're under evaluation on that. And Windows 7, also under evaluation. Right now it runs on Windows XP. You do require a PC with at least 1 gigabyte of RAM. You're better off with 2. And you need a certain amount of display resolution, which is pretty standard. There are, as you probably gathered, several editions of TomoView. There's full TomoView and analysis, and there's TomoView Lite. In fact, there's no less than two aspects of TomoView Lite, which is Lite Weld, and this is for phased array and ultrasonic analysis using S-scans or B-scans. And it's really designed for weld inspections that use linear scanning. There's also Lite Aero, which is phased arrays and ultrasonic analysis based on C-scans. And this typically uses raster scan inspections, as are more prevalent in aerospace. So there are some basic differences between Lite and Weld and Aero, but essentially they're the same program. And Lite itself consists of TV Lite Aero, TomoView Lite Weld, and TomoViewer, which is a freebie. So let's get on to TomoView Manager. Essentially, we now have new icons that make it a lot easier for the operator to use. Typically here you would select a group 1 to whatever, and you would select a layout, and then you can display them, and they're all linked to a group or a layout. This particular one is an AB conventional ultrasonic layout, and we'll see some examples of layouts in a few minutes. You can import and open files with a single click. You can convert OmniScan files to TomoView format. You can do an automatic volumetric merge. Then, of course, you can display them in the standard TomoView format, and you'll see some of the advantages of that coming in a minute. You can also select multiple files and convert them all at the same time. We have an indication table. We can add an indication. We can add a comment for extra readings, and we can edit footnote, report header, and custom user field. We can add different indications with different lists of predefined readings. For welds, we can do TOF, corrosion, phased array, immersion, whatever is appropriate. Here's an example of the report. You'll notice it looks quite similar to an OmniScan report and has all the data in as per required by code. It is, of course, editable, and you can change the logo on the top. And like OmniScan, you can put a number of pictures in there to fulfill your report. You can print it out, you can email it, and you can sign it to make it legal. As with many other TomoView applications, you can play around with the windows. You can move, enlarge, or delete the different views, and you can save that layout. So, for example, on the left-hand side, you can see that the top right-hand picture is moved to the bottom left. They're reversed, and the bottom right is moved up to the top left, and they're also reversed. You'll notice that this then gives you a different screen, which you'll see on the right. And then you can also resize the windows. This has some advantages in that if you wish to emphasize a particular view, such as the C-scan, to give you an overall picture, or a top scan, then this is the way to go. You can then save this layout as a custom layout as shown in the little box at the bottom. We can also do a series of measurements. We have a series of icons at the top that give you a bunch of measurements that you can call. And of course, there's many, many standard measurements. We just listed you a sample of 4 here. There are many others that you can do, and they are available in the menus. For example, at the bottom 2, you'll notice they look almost the same, except that one is before skip and one is after skip if you're doing a weld inspection. You can do thickness C-scans. This is primarily for aerospace, but could also probably be used for corrosion mapping. And here you can see on the left, you can choose what particular channel you want to do. and then you can also select the thickness over here. Also, you notice there are a large number of parameters here for thickness. Some of them are peak, and some of them are threshold crossing values. And you can also do subtractions from the interface and various other types of thickness measurements here. You can then get yourself a screen layout as shown on the right-hand side here, and you can display the data as you want, and you can then also change the colors with the color palette. So there's a lot of things you can do here to show minimum thickness, maximum thickness, and so forth. There's also a number of display options. For example, on a typical C-scan or B-scan, you can put ecodynamic curves, as you can see at the top over there. There. And you can display them as a maximum or the minimum, which is always useful. If you're doing a weld inspection, which requires skips, you can see the skipping, and you can see the direction of the skip from that red arrow there. You can also do weld overlays on these things. Perhaps more important from an OmniScan user's point of view, you can merge multiple data files into a single file. The reason is that OmniScan has limited scan length capability because it has limited memory. It can be boosted, but it's still limited. The scan length in TomoView or TomoView Lite is essentially unlimited because you can use the virtual memory on your computer. This allows you to get a complete image of the weld for reporting and analysis, which can be very useful if you're giving an overview, and especially if there's nothing on there. And naturally, it is not available on OmniScan. You can also merge data into a single view, and this is useful if you have multiple scans in the same area. For example, if you're doing a code inspection of a weld, or if you're doing some complex inspection of some aerospace component. You can display all the merged data into a single view, which is called the volumetric merge. You can merge into a traditional topside-end view using TomoView Lite. What this allows you to do is give much better assessment of weld defects, particularly for engineering analysis like ASME and so forth. And this kind of technique is not available on OmniScan. We can merge C-scan images. For these particular applications are aerospace, and you can see that you can take two different types of C-scans here. For example, a precision C-scan and a minimum thickness C-scan, and you can merge the two together to give you a multiple scan. This particular application is really only available on TomoView Aero Lite. You can do color adjustment. What do you want to do this for? Well, essentially, it allows you to raise and lower the gain for better assessments of defects. So, for example, if you're looking at defects which are very low amplitude, you can adjust your color palette by simply moving it up and down in a post-processing manner. You can also view the A-scan for better analysis, but it does give you a better overall picture. You can get amplitude and position C-scan images from the A-scan data. You can also do time-of-flight subtraction C-scans for thickness measurements. Again, that's primarily for aerospace. This is also not available on OmniScan. You can create, save, and import weld overlays. For those of us who do weld inspections, you can import the weld overlay as a DXF file, which is AutoCAD or a number of other formats, programs, or the operator can draw the overlay themselves. What this allows you to do is to view the position of the defects actually in the weld. You can also perform complex overlays, for example, if you've got a nozzle or a component that requires multiple skips. It's very useful for defect analysis and location. It's also useful for convincing the auditor that you know what you're doing. You can save the overlay for further analysis. Again, this is not available on OmniScan. In fact, it's only available on TomoView Lite and on TomoView itself. Here's an example of a weld overlay. You go to Part and Overlay, and you define the weld overlay type. For example, you can pick any one of the 6 selections over here, and you can modify the parameters over here, and it will give you a weld overlay. This is not a particularly realistic weld, but it's good enough for illustration. And of course, the alternative is to import a DXF file, which we've done regularly. This is an example of a picture of a weld with a weld overlay on it. It's not particularly easy to see on the screen, but there's a green overlay here, like that. And you can see the defects are lying on the weld bevel and the weld crown up here. And the weld also flips over, the weld overlay does, so that if you're looking at a 1.5 or a 2-skip scan, you can see the weld flipping overlay. There's the bevel. You can do measurement and statistics with TomoView lights, and TomoView, of course. It performs measurements and statistics using special rectangular cursors, which I'll show you in a second. This is useful for specific functions where detailed analysis is required. It's typically better for in-service specialized inspections, such as creep assessment or high-temperature hydrogen attack, where you're looking at backscatter and you're looking at increased noise levels. It can also be used for things like friction stir welds. Again, this is not a technique that's available on OmniScan, but of course, like all the other techniques, if you download your data to TomoView, you can do all these analyses. Here's an example of a signal-to-noise ratio assessment. Up on this slide over here, you can see a pink box, and that's the box that the operator will draw for his analysis or her analysis, and that's the box where the data will be analyzed. And typically what we do here is we push the retrieve button, and that will automatically display the mean value and the standard deviation, which can tell you a lot about areas like backscatter. There's the box there, and there's the arrow indicating it. You can do more detailed defect analysis. You can position the cursors around a defect like this one here, and you can adjust your slider here to the requested value of the amplitude that you want, and then you will get a reading back of the number of pixels above that signal-to-noise ratio. Again, this is for aero only, but you can see an example down here at the bottom. Depending on where you position your slider, you come up with rather different values. So this is an adjustable technique and very good for analysis. We have a report generator which applies to both TomoView and TomoView Lite. It's embedded in the software now, and complete inspection report is available for immediate printing as with OmniScan and with other technologies. As required by codes, it requires complete information about the inspection parameters, focal laws, and also in the indications in the defect table. It also gives you printouts of the displays that are on the screen, and you can do multiple displays. There is more flexibility here than in the OmniScan reporting. We're going to give you examples of a few Weld displays. Over at the top here, we have a typical setup. Hang on, I'm supposed to get my indicator. There we are. We have the menus here, and you can see the menu at the bottom here: File, View, Part, Overlay, View, Processing, and so forth. The other, there we are, arrows is Tools, and we have a number of icons down here that do various things. For example, Gain, Convert, and so forth. And you can zoom and shrink. This is the data display window. In TomoView Lite for welds, there are 8 separate displays that cover almost all the applications you're likely to come across. Here's 3 of them, 1 to 3. Top left is A-scan, S-scan, and B-scan. Top right is A-scan, S-scan, and C-scan. Over underneath, you'll also see an A-scan, S-scan, C-scan. But this time we have a volumetric merge on the C-scan, so there's more than one S-scan or E-scan in there, and they're all merged together, so we're seeing a completely merged set of data. This is useful if you're doing multi-group scanning. Here's a few more examples. We have on the top left, an AS, B, and C-scan, and again, this is a merged C-scan, which you cannot do on OmniScan. On the right-hand side, you've got an A-scan and a B-scan, or more accurately, a TOFT scan. Here again, you can do TOFT and conventional and phased array. In the bottom, we also have a TOFT conventional UT scan, and you can see that the lower defect is the B-scan with a defect visible in the center. A couple more practical examples of TomoView Lite Weld inspection scans. On the left, you've got 6 phased array channels, S-scans in this case, and a TOF channel. And on the right, you have quite a complex scanning pattern with 4 conventional ultrasonics and a TOF channel in the middle. And the A-scans at the top show the signals where the cursors actually are, and the ones at the bottom show the skip positions. So you have a very clear understanding of what exactly is going on in this particular inspection. Briefly onto Light Aero. Again, you can display any presentation of the data. It has some other features. Cursor position is preserved for new layouts. So if you change layouts, then you have your cursor moves from one to the next. You can resynchronize your A-scan signal offline, which is useful if your surface changes. You can modify the position, the length, and the threshold of the signals. You can merge C-scan images. As I mentioned before, you've got both amplitude and position C-scan images available, and you can merge the two of them. Of course, you can compress the color palette, or you can exclude colors if you prefer a different type of color, and you can compute the signal-to-noise ratio. We have 6 standard layouts for Aero. On the left, we have ASC, which is a maximum amplitude C-scan. On the right, we have an ASB signal display, which is an A-scan, a B-scan, and an S-scan. We also have various combinations in the lower one of various signals. For example, this is a double C-scan. One is the maximum amplitude, and the other is a C-scan with a time-based position crossing gate. So you can see a correlation between the signals that are reflecting and the signals that are thinner. So, layouts for Light Aero, the last ones. Again, we have a couple of other combinations. We have a couple of C-scans here. One is amplitude on the top left, and the other one is peak position inside the gate. The one on the right is an ABCD scan, which may also be known as a topside end view, and this is a fairly typical type of inspection. And on the bottom right, we have a thickness C-scan, which is another version of a thickness scan, corrosion map. So those are the 6 scans available as a standard format with Light Aero. So back briefly on to TomoView 2.9. What's new in that? Well, all the changes in TomoView Lite. We have a much easier boot key function. We have a simplified TomoView Manager window, as you've seen before. There's been a lot of emphasis on making TomoView more user-friendly. We have better icons for setup functions. We've got the live multi-beam C-scan image, and we have a unique display layout for all modes, and we've got acoustic field simulations. So let me give you some final comments here. TomoView and TomoView Lite offer significant analysis advantages over OmniScan software. In particular, they allow you to do all kinds of detailed analysis that was not available before, even though the data is available. And depending on your application, the main advantages are merged files, displayed merged displays, time of flight diffraction analysis, statistics and measurements, overlays, thickness readings. The list is quite long. So just the last passing comments on the part of Olympus. We're offering TomoView Lite free with the purchase of any OmniScan MX phased array flaw detector. This is a product that's worth over $3,500 plus, and the promotion ends on December the 31st. So, thank you very much. Any questions?
And Michael, we do have some questions in the
How do I get to them?
In the Q&A panel.
Yep.
The question mark. Our first was, please clarify C-scan merge in detail, if possible.
Let me go through them and We have a question here that says, please clarify C-scan merge in details if possible. I'm not totally sure what that means, but I'll do my best to answer it right now. C-scan merge essentially merges all the maximum data points from the C-scan, and we can merge all kinds of different combinations. So you can merge them with, depending on where you take the peak value for the amplitude, the threshold crossing value for the amplitude, or the difference between two other gates. We just essentially put them into a volumetric merge, and it merges them voxel by voxel. I think we can come up with a better answer for that shortly. Next question. Are there any future plans to use TomoView for corrosion mapping? And would it enable you to get a percentage wall loss for large areas and post-analysis? I think the answer to that will be most likely yes, and it would enable you to get a percentage wall loss for large areas and post-analysis. That's available right now with the statistics. In fact, you could use corrosion mapping at the moment. I think it's more a question of getting the probes and everything else working. Which version of TomoView is best suited for HIC, which is hydrogen-induced cracking, and SOHIC, which is stress-oriented hydrogen-induced cracking, and WET H2S crack inspection analysis? Probably the latest with the best statistics. The first thing you'd want to do there is you'd want to be able to merge multiple scans from different directions, which you can do right now. And you'd also want to be able to do statistics on whether or not there's any extra damage in your material. Can we use the old Aladdin key for this TomoView version? Probably yes, but you probably need to get it updated. I'll get you a correct answer on that shortly. Can you have one version of TomoView Lite that covers all aero, weld, etc.? Yes, the one version of TomoView Lite covers everything. You get all three versions: TomoView Weld, TomoView Aero, and TomoViewer. How long it will take to report one discontinuity? That's a difficult question because it depends on what the discontinuity looks like. Typically, if you're going to do a major analysis on a discontinuity, then it may take you a long time. It depends how difficult it is. So I can't really answer that one. If you have a current dongle, is the new software a free upgrade? I should think it probably would be. I haven't got a specific answer to that question, but my guess is it probably will be. Can we use TomoView inspection version along with OmniScan for carrying TOF and phase array simultaneously with some hardware? You can certainly use TomoView, but you can't use TomoView Lite. TomoView drives OmniScan if you wanted to, but TomoView Lite simply analyzes the data. So you can certainly take your laptop along and analyze the data as you go, but you cannot do it directly and immediately with TomoView Lite. You can with TomoView 2.9. Is it possible to load this software directly in OmniScan? No. Sorry. This software runs off a PC. It's much too large for OmniScan, and there are no plans for putting it into OmniScan. When OmniScan was originally designed, it was designed to be a fairly simple, easy to carry, easy to use software. And the TomoView edition or analysis edition allows you to do all kinds of things that you couldn't normally do in a small instrument. And I don't really think it's appropriate to put TomoView into it. And I'm not even sure it's possible. Good day. Thank you very much. Information has been of great importance. Did you tell the TomoView Lite is free? TomoView Lite is free until December the 31st. It's a freebie when you buy an OmniScan. If you have any more questions, you want to contact your local sales rep. What is the best source for training on TomoView? Do you have an update manual for the new software? The new software will be available as the target release date is November the 15th. There will be a manual coming out with it. Who is the best source for training? It depends where you are geographically. And if you want to drop me an email, then probably I can give you some recommendations. Okay. And one last question. Does TomoView 9 support a different overlay to be used for each channel in the multi-probe system? Example, butt weld joint of 2 different plate thicknesses. I can't tell you the answer straight off the top, but I will be able to get back to you and send you an email. Unfortunately, we have to close our question and answer session as it's time to close the webinar. On behalf of Olympus NDT, I hope you have enjoyed and benefited from our session today. Thank you very much for attending.